Hey everyone, Richard Metal Fan here, bringing you guys a brand new 2019 album review. And today we're going to be looking into the new album from the band Fleshgod Apocalypse entitled Veleno, which came out today through Nuclear Blast Records. Now, for those of you who aren't familiar with Fleshgod Apocalypse, they're a symphonic death metal band hailing all the way from Italy. These guys have been around since 2007. I discovered Fleshgod Apocalypse probably around 2013, maybe 2014, with their one album, Labyrinth, which I'll explain my thoughts to it. But then I wanted to check out all their other stuff, and I actually really dig what they heard. And these guys have been putting out their albums since their very first debut full-length album, which came out in 2009, I believe, called the Oracles EP, Oracles, which I thought was a pretty good debut album. It's kind of like different compared to like their later works, whereas the Oracles album full length is just straight up like technical death metal. It didn't even add any symphonic elements into there. And then a year later in 2010, they released their Mafia EP, which adds sort of like the symphonic elements to Fleshgod Apocalypse's sound, which is pretty much what they're known for. But it wasn't around that time. Well, I should also mention around the Oracles and Mafia AP, they had a little bit of a lineup change where they had a member, Tommaso Riccardi, which he pretty much was their frontman and guitar player, and then which was previously handled by, of course, Francesco Paoli, but then he switched to playing drums at the time. But then around that time, after Mafia, they released their album Agony in 2011, which, I mean, musically it's all right, and I think I've mentioned this before. I just don't like the production on that album. Like, the production was just like you can't even hear guitars at all for shit on that album. It's only like mainly just blast beats. I mean, I love blast beats, but all over for just like for an entire album is just no. And I thought it was gonna be good, but thought they would learn from their next album being 2013's Labyrinth, which is they just repeated it yet again. But then we go into 2016 with their previous album King, and I was kind of like a bit skeptical, like I hope the production's good. And actually they actually did learn, and the production is really great, and I actually liked the new album. They're not, I mean, King, I should say. But it wasn't until, let's go to 2017, where the band had a little lineup change, where it was around that time where Tommaso Riccardi had left the band, and also their one other guitar player, Cristiano Triunfera, left. So then Francesco Paoli came back to being their front man. Yeah, and they had like a couple, and on this album, they have like a couple new members. Well, they had some members that were in the band, like their opera vocalist, Veronica Bortacini, which I think she's an excellent addition. She's been with them since, of course, Agony. And some members, I believe that were on the album. I believe Fabio Berletti, their other guitar player, and David Fulcito on the drums. But the question to ask, does this album live up to King? And I definitely think so. Like Francesco Paoli, I just think it's great to see him back, not even being the front man for almost a decade. It's just great that he's like his vocals are just really great. Nothing against Tommaso, but I just think Francesco's vocals are just really great, and just his guitar playing and just shredding that he does is great. And same thing with their other guitar player, Fabio. He's really great at what he does. The bass is pretty audible. I mean, Paulo Rossi's bass is definitely really well turned up in the mix. And his clean singing, wow. He just has a really great range with his voice. And same thing with Veronica Bortacini has pretty much shines pretty well. I think she has an excellent voice, and she has a very beautiful voice. I really like it. And Francesco Ferrini's piano playing, I mean, he has also been around since, like I said, since the Mafia EP, when the band started incorporating like the symphonic elements to what makes Fleshgod what they are. His piano playing is good, and the drumming from David is just great. Like, I don't even know how he does it. It's just damn, like Fleshgod has some really insane like blast beats and stuff, but damn, he has a really great great drumming. So without further ado, let's dive into this album track by track. Now the album opens up with the song Fury, which we encounter many of the record's most striking aspects, with many of our questions immediately laid to rest. The track kicks off with a bang. Blast beats, fast riffs, and menacing piano bursting onto the scene and announcing that Fleshgod Apocalypse is back with a fucking vengeance. No orchestral intro track, no subtle build-up, just pedal to the floor, just headbanging your head from the outset. In the past 3 years, we've been waiting again, there are no mood to waste time, and we soon learn that the songwriting and production are kind of similar to like on King, and the consistency is remarkable to the point that one could barely have known the live changes if it had been informed to them. And then we go into Carnivore Limb, which has a little bit of a folk metal vibe to it, which makes it fun to dissect. It has like different tempo changes rather suddenly and at the drop of the hat, and it's also the first time like that Paulo Rossi gets to break out his unhinged clean singing, which pops up rather sparsely throughout Veleno, was concentrated in the segments when it appear. Then we go into Sugar, which is actually the first single released off this album, which I honestly think is a really great song for the live setting. It's an instant live anthem with crushing grooves and a positively monstrous pre-chorus in there. The Praying Mantis' Strategy, another great song. I actually like it. And Mona Lisa, which is actually something of a calm song on here. I actually dig it. Worship and Forget, another great song. I dig it. And we go into Absinthe, and this is one song which bucks the trend slightly, however, starting with the unusual elements of like symphony and death metal, and this song takes a turn by introducing a fantastic whispered sung section in the middle with like a piano counter melody behind it. And then it continues into a suitably epic chorus, which would not be out of place in the Hollywood blockbuster if they had to use metal songs, and it has like a really interesting bass solo being foreshadowed by Paulo's like crisp, clean vocals taking the lead on this delectable track. Pissing on the Score is one of the more traditionally catchy songs on the album, where the orchestration provides the bass melody but otherwise take a back seat in favor for the guitar rhythm that would be just as comfortably as home as like the mellow death two-step writing as it is on here. And Pissing in the Score feels manic, but an often driven force by its chorus section, and fairly conventional catchiness stands in pretty sharp contrast. The Day Will Be Gone. Now this pretty much shows where Veronica Borrachini at this point has become one of the best weapons in the Fleshgod Apocalypse arsenal. Have it taken the lead on on like a little bit of a handful of songs for a few albums now. Veleno gives her the spotlight. It's kind of similar on to one of their other songs called The Day Will Be Gone, which these are trading off with sort of like Francesco through the ratio, the two breaks down to a pretty neat 60-40 on that front. It's a slower song on the album, and it closes out with the slower tracks in the second half, but it also has a little bit of a folky vibe to it. Embrace the Oblivion, which brings back a lot of the traditional Fleshgod elements, but once again, much more redefined matter. Like some very contrasting vocals between Francesco and Polly and Rossi. Can't even speak today. Driving drums and the orchestration of Ferrani culminates in what is arguably one of the best tracks on the album. And then we go into the title track, Veleno, which is actually just a piano instrumental bearing like the same name. It's a pretty good little piece. And of course, if you get the deluxe edition, it actually has, or a special edition, it has like 2 bonus tracks. First one being Reese, which is actually a cover originally done by Rammstein, which is kind of a weird cover, but it's okay. And then we go into the Forsaking Nocturnal version, which is a pretty interesting song. Now overall, Veleno by Fleshgod Apocalypse is a really great album. Like, I think they just stepped it up by far. If I were to give this album a score, I'm going to give this probably a solid 9.5 out of 10. So yeah, that's our review of the new Fleshgod Apocalypse, guys. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about it, and I'll see you all in the next video. And as always, keep it metal.